Today I'm going to show you a quick and easy birria that you can make in the Instant Pot. It's going to be good. First, I'm going to make the chili puree. Here I'm working with 6 chile guajillos. I've cleaned them, I've removed the seeds and stems. 1 chile ancho, and again I cleaned that as well, and 1 chile pasilla. You could use the combination of chiles that you prefer. You could use all guajillo, it's up to you. So after rinsing them for debris, I've removed the water and now I'm filling my pot. I am going to turn on the heat and bring my pot of water up to a boil. Once it starts to boil for about a minute, I'm going to shut the heat off, cover with a lid, and I'm going to let this steep for about 15 minutes. So once they are softened and steeped, I remove the liquid. I have about 2.5 cups here, so I'm going to use that for the puree. So in my blender cup, I'll also be adding 2 tablespoons of beef bouillon powder, 6 cloves of garlic. I have 2 teaspoons of Mexican oregano, 1 teaspoon dried thyme, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground clove, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm also going to be using 1 chipotle pepper in adobo sauce. So into my blender cup, I'm going to add all of my ingredients. So the blender that I'm using today is a Vitamix and it purees very well. I will not need to strain it, but typically you'll want to strain your puree. So now I'm going to move on to prepping the beef. Here I have 4 pounds of boneless beef chuck roast. I also like to use beef shank with the bone in it. I'm adding a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and I'm going to brown the meat. And once I have a single layer in the largest pan that I'm working with here, it's a 14-inch skillet, I'm just going to add salt and pepper to the opposite side. And this is going to take several minutes on each side to get some brown coloring. I'm also going to saute onion in the pan, and once the onion is sauteed, I'm going to add a cup of water to create a delicious broth from the fond that is at the bottom of the pan. I'm going to add my broth to the meat, and now it's ready to go into my Instant Pot. I'm working with a 6-quart Instant Pot. I'm adding all of my beef, all of the liquid and juices that collected in the pan and bowl. Now I'm adding my chili puree. You can strain if necessary. Again, mine pureed very well. So now I'm also going to add extra water. So to the blender cup, I'm just going to add 3 cups of water. I'm going to swish it around to get any residual puree and add that to my Instant Pot. I'm also going to add 2 dried bay leaves. Cover with your lid and make sure that you close it properly. This is very important when working with pressure cookers. And I'm going to set it to sealing. You want to make sure you do that. And now I'm going to use the stew meat or meat stew setting and set the timer for 55 minutes. And this is on high pressure. And I'm just going to let that cook. Here I've sauteed tomato, jalapeno, onion, and garlic for a salsa. Now I'm going to remove the skin from the garlic and the stems from the jalapenos. And to remove the fond from the bottom of the pan, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of water and just kind of scrape the bits up. Now add everything into a blender cup, and I'm going to puree. I'm also going to add salt to taste. Sometimes I also like to add chicken bouillon powder. It's up to you. And that'll be my salsa. My birria is done, and I let it set for 30 minutes after it was done cooking. So what you'll want to do is carefully vent and remove any pressure left in the pot. And you want to do that with a spoon. And a good indication to let you know that the pressure is still not released is that button on the back. Once all the pressure is released, that silver button right here drops down. That lets you know that the pressure is released from your pressure cooker. So carefully remove the lid and your birria is done. The meat is so tender. But before you stir it, what I like to do is remove and reserve any rendered fat for later use. I'm just going to place this in a bowl. This is what I'm going to fry and cook my Quesa tacos with. So I'm going to remove the meat And you want to taste and adjust the salt and seasoning to your preference. I added like a half teaspoon of salt to this. So I've removed the meat and I'm going to finely chop it. I'm going to add a little bit back into that flavorful broth, and the rest I'm going to use for the quesa tacos. I preheated my griddle on a low heat, and now I'm going to add some of that rendered fat, a corn tortilla. I'm going to add that chopped meat that we cooked in the Instant Pot with cheese, and I'm going to cook this until everything is crispy, fried, and gooey in the center. So now that the tacos are done, I'm going to get a bowl and add that flavorful broth with some of that meat. And then I'm going to garnish with fresh onion, cilantro, a hint of lime. I'm also going to hit it with that homemade salsa, and it's ready to be eaten. This is just some of my favorite food. The crunch of the tacos with the meat and the cheese, that broth that literally I could drink. It's so good. You got to try it. And try it in the Instant Pot because it's so hot outside. You don't have to stand over a stove. It's just so good, and it's quick and easy birria. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it. And thanks for watching.